It's that time of year again. The Minecraft Live mob vote is nearly upon us. I'm sure this year's vote will go totally normally with no controversy whatsoever. Regardless of your choice, one of the interesting questions about the addition of a new mob is, naturally, what sort of lore will it bring? This is the time when the community has the opportunity to influence the direction of the game, and depending on which mob wins, there could be potentially dramatic lore changes. In order to help you with your vote, I wanted to give you my interpretation of some of the potential lore of each of the candidates. Remember, our information is limited, and things may change in the final game. Nonetheless, I think it would be fun to go through these together. After all, soon enough, 2 of these mobs will be removed and I'll never get to theorize about them again. So let's do it while we still have the opportunity. With that out of the way, let's get started. Join me for a shallow dive beneath the waves. The first mob introduced is called the Sniffer. From the release video, we learned several interesting things about this mob. First, it is apparently a prehistoric mob, somehow brought back to life. It hatches from an egg found underwater, and it looks like this. The design is intriguing. The body is maroon colored with a green shell-like thing on top. It has 6 legs, and its face seems to be somewhat like a beak, though from the video we know that this thing is not a bird. Furthermore, there are several sizes of the Sniffer. We see a small one hatch from an egg, but there's also a large one, taller than Agnes and Yen's. Overall, it's difficult to understand what the Sniffer actually is. However, we do know what it does. The Sniffer really likes seeds, and it will sniff the ground to find them, digging out and producing them for the player. While we don't know for sure, the reference to ancient knowledge implies that these may be seeds that have yet to be seen. Of the potential mobs to choose from, the Sniffer is the one where the lore is a little bit less obvious. Nonetheless, we do have a couple of interesting things to notice. First, this is a prehistoric animal. The implication is that, somehow, the Sniffer went extinct at one point in time. The concept of prehistoric mobs roaming the world has not been explored deeply to this point in Minecraft. However, there is nonetheless at least one example in the overworld that shows us that there was a prehistory: fossils. In certain locations, it's possible to dig up fossils buried deep underground. These fossils are huge, much larger than any overworld mob that we see in the present day. They've been a source of enduring mystery. Some say they are dragons, some say they are withers, some say they're something else altogether. The addition of a real, live prehistoric mob could potentially offer us some clues as to the nature of these fossils. One other thing worth mentioning is that the Sniffer's egg is found in the underwater ruins. There must be some specific reason for this, and if the Sniffer was to be added, it would likely give us more information about one of the odd-generated structures in the overworld. So if any of this is interesting to you, vote for the Sniffer. The second revealed mob is called the Rascal, and this one is quite the doozy from a lore perspective. The Rascal is a hunchback humanoid mob which lives in abandoned mineshafts. It's not hostile, but in the words of Yen's, just a little mischievous. If it's found 3 times, it will dig through its backpack and give the player a gift of some kind. The examples in the videos include an enchanted iron pickaxe and a shovel. Now, the very image of a Rascal should immediately raise some eyebrows since it possesses a very special trait. It's humanoid. In fact, it's so humanoid that one could plausibly argue that it is actually a human. However, in my view, they've done enough with the visual design to ensure that it is distinct from villagers or players. Notice the gray skin and lack of a villager nose. So if it's not a human and it's not a villager, what is it? The answer to that question is far more important than it may first appear. Remember, there are only a select few types of humanoid mobs, and finding another one is a big deal. Let's brainstorm at least a few possibilities here as to what this thing is. First, let's note that the Rascal, besides simply looking humanoid, displays very intelligent behavior. It's capable of playing games with others, it's capable of using tools, we see that it carries items in its rucksack, and it even possesses enchanted items. It knows how to trade, meaning it understands the abstract notion of value. These traits seem to put the Rascal at a level of intelligence that's at least in the same ballpark as the piglins and the villagers. We don't know if Rascals exist in a society or as solo nomads, but it's undeniable that this creature is vastly more intelligent than the average passive mob. It's important to note that the Rascal appears to be found only in mines, structures generated in the overworld. Many people, including myself, believe that the mines were constructed by the same ancient civilization that built the other structures, like the pyramids, the shipwrecks, and the ocean monuments. The sudden discovery of an intelligent creature living in these mines is startling to say the least, and it opens up the door to some very interesting questions. For example, is there any way possible that the Rascal is a direct descendant of the ancient builders themselves? We know that there was some type of mass extinction event in the overworld, but what if it didn't kill everyone? Could there have been some builders who survived and fled into the mines, eking out an existence while the rest of the overworld was afflicted? But I think there are other possibilities as well. It could be that this creature has no relation to the ancient builders whatsoever, and is instead an overworld native that happened to take up residence in the mines. Or, alternatively, they themselves built the mines, and we've incorrectly been attributing their construction to the ancient builders. It doesn't seem to matter how you slice it, the Rascal has the potential to be a serious deviation from much of the established lore of the game. Potentially, it's a game changer. Unfortunately, much like the Sniffer, we need to see the details of the implementation to get a better theory about the Rascal. So if you're curious about this thing, then be sure to vote for the Rascal. This brings us to the final potential new mob, the Tuff Golem. The mob is a statue that comes alive from a frozen state. It can hold an item and freeze with it, or it can carry the item around while awake. If it's not holding an item, it will stroll around at random and pick one up. Unfortunately, that's about all we know. The information stated in the video is pretty limited. However, by examining the visuals in more detail, we can start to understand the Tuff Golem a little more. First, the Tuff Golem has the same basic shape as the Iron Golem. It has the lanky arms and the large villager nose. There are several differences though, the most obvious being that the Tuff Golem is short, probably about a block tall. It also contains what appears to be an article of clothing around its waist, a red, yellow, and black checkered piece of cloth. This is a cloak that can be optionally added during the construction process of the golem. When holding an item, the Tuff Golem uses this cloth as a table of sorts, carrying the item around with it. The Tuff Golem is probably most interesting not for the lore contained within it, but for its potential to shed light on the lore of other elements of Minecraft. There are only a handful of golems known in the game. This includes the aforementioned Iron Golem and the Snow Golem. It's an inherently mysterious group, entities that are kind of alive, but also not really alive. Yet the fact that there are so few of them makes it difficult to draw broad conclusions about the nature of what it means to be a golem, as we just don't have enough examples. The addition of the Tuff Golem would help solve this problem by giving us an extra golem to look at in detail. Perhaps part of it will have to do with the blue eyes. It has a different color than the Snow Golem or the Iron Golem. Could it somehow be connected to the blue colors of soul energy? We can't know for sure right now. If this is intriguing to you, vote for the Tuff Golem. So there we have it, your three candidates. The plant-loving ancient Sniffer, the hide-and-seek master Rascal, and the moving statue Tuff Golem. Three wildly different mobs with distinct implications on the lore. I'm not going to tell you which one to vote for. This video is simply designed to give you some brainstorming material about what the mobs might mean from a lore perspective. However, I do know that people are going to ask which one I'm voting for. Like last year, I will be basing my decision on which mob I think will have the most interesting and intriguing lore if it's added. In that regard, I think the answer is obvious, the Rascal. While the Sniffer and Tuff Golem do have their merits, the lore implications are a lot more specialized. With the Rascal, however, we would see the addition of a totally new intelligent mob. This opens up the possibility for profound implications about the lore, especially with regards to questions like who built the mineshafts and the monuments. For me personally, it's very difficult to say no to an opportunity like this one, so I will be voting for the Rascal. But my prediction is that the Sniffer is going to win. It's the most unique mob of the three, and it checks a lot of boxes. It's cute, it's visually interesting, and it comes with the possibility of new plants as well. I think the Tuff Golem is going to get second place. Golems are typically pretty popular, but I don't personally see it beating out the Sniffer head to head. Nonetheless, you should vote for whatever you want. I can't see the future. Let's take a brief moment to talk about today's video sponsor, Guardio. Like many of you, I spend a lot of time on the internet. Our internet browsers store a wide variety of valuable information, from banking, passwords, crypto wallets, addresses, and more. Imagine if that data were to fall into the wrong hands. With so much at stake, wouldn't it be nice if there was an easy way to help stay safe online? That's where Guardio comes in. Guardio protects your online browsing and information. Furthermore, it helps you avoid installing malware and falling victim to scams. It even gives you real-time alerts when your information could be at risk. Furthermore, it can help protect you from phishing attempts, which can be hard to identify on your own. Using Guardio is simple. Install the extension from the Chrome or Edge store. Once you make an account, Guardio will do a scan and let you know about active threats, including data leaks, unwanted pop-ups, harmful apps, and system health. From there, you can start a 7-day free trial to remove existing threats and enable real-time protection. It only takes 30 seconds to see what Guardio could do for you. It's even cross-platform. If you sign up through your mobile, you'll get real-time alerts once your data is breached or leaked, so you can take action immediately. So, if you want a clean and secure browsing experience, go to guard.io/RetroGamingNow. The link is in the description. The RetroGamingNow community will get 20% off a monthly subscription. Check out their affordable premium plan for full protection. Thanks once again to Guardio for sponsoring today's video. Thank you so much for joining me on the second annual Shallow Dive. Let me know what you thought in the comments. Who are you going to vote for? Is the lore an important factor in your decision making? I'm excited to hear from you. We'll go ahead and end with that. This has been RGN. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a great day.